the art. Oh, well. To those who disagree with the art, and to the commissioners as they thoughtfully evaluate each potential addition. Each commissioner has appropriate experience, personally and professionally, to provide an opinion of authority and agency that merits respect. I don't always agree with their opinions, and they certainly don't always agree with mine, but we voice our differences respectfully and without personal attacks. The Palm Springs Public Art Commission is committed to curating a collection that reflects the spirit of Palm Springs and resonates with the community. I encourage everyone to approach public art with an open mind and to celebrate the richness of our community through these impactful works. Jay, are there any public comments? Okay. And because we have several items that may be receiving public comment tonight, please let us know what you're addressing.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Michael Conway with the Barristo Neighborhood Organization, and I have been asked by our board chair, who could not be here this evening, to read a letter to the commissioners. Dear Chairperson Armstrong and commissioners and staff, yesterday our board directors submitted an application for Measure J funding for Barristo Park improvements. We're asking for $537,210 for the first two stages of the project, which is feasibility and design. The project seeks to revitalize the park by transforming the Barristo Channel into an attractive, welcoming, and pedestrian-friendly park benefit. This will take a while. Thanks to the Public Arts Commission and Artscape in the Parks, the revitalization and transformation of Barristo Park may begin well before the channel is opened. With the placement of spaghetti in the Barristo Park, its usage, which is the ultimate goal of the revitalization and transformation, will no doubt surge. Our board agreed unanimously to support the commission's selection, and we hope that we will be fully funded at at the meeting this evening. We eagerly await Spagotti's installation. Finally, as our project goes forward, we hope to work closely with the commission to explore additional opportunities for art in Barristo Park. On behalf of the Barristo Neighborhood Organization, we are grateful for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or just talk? No. So I'm Doug Fritzma. I live in El Rancho Vista Estates. I am a member of the community board, but I'm representing myself tonight. I live right next to the bocce courts in Gateway Park. Those of you who know about Gateway Park, it's the one park that nobody knows about. But it's located really in sort of a unique location. It's about a block from the end of the CV Link. It's right there as people are coming in from Cathedral City. There's a sign from Palm Springs. It's kind of the first thing that people see. And a lot of times you guys hear all the complaints and everybody complaining about what's going on. So I'm here to say I really support both the dancer that was chosen for Gateway Park, as well as the initiatives to sort of bring art to some of those neighborhood parks. I'm hoping it's the first of many that we're able to use to enhance Gateway Park. But I know that sometimes all you hear is the negative, and I just wanted to be here and say both myself and many members of our community are very, very supportive of the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's still on. Hi, my name is Raymond LaFleur. With about 16,000 members, I manage one of the largest social media groups for gay men in the country. Last October, I was here in front of you to express overwhelming opposition by the community of gay men to the proposed AIDS Memorial design at the time. Since that time, an incredible effort was undertaken by the AIDS Memorial Task Force, the artists, and the community in general to develop a new design which would resound with the community. Nearly a year later, I'm here to say they succeeded at a major level. An incredible effort was made by the task force and the artist to reach out to the community through numerous listening sessions. That effort helped our community express our feelings and experience with AIDS during that horrible time. Overwhelming grief, tremendous loss, and the deep despair and hopelessness we all experienced. The intent of listening sessions was to help the artist develop a new design which reflected those feelings and experiences that he had the opportunity to see firsthand. At a minimum, we had hoped that a new design would be respectful, honorable, and dignified. Recently, the design was shown and explained to many of us. Soon thereafter, the design was released to the public. The new design reflects everything we had hoped for and more. Far exceeding my own expectations, it has the support of 90% of my group. I would like to personally thank Dan Spencer and the chair of the AIDS Memorial Task Force and all his members for their commitment to the community and not giving up. I'd like to also thank the artist, Philip K. Smith. He probably had the most difficult time with the entire process. We appreciated his patience, his intent listening and sincerity through all the listening sessions, and then coming up with a design which reflected what he heard. Thank you, Philip. Appreciate it. I'd also like to thank Mayor Jeffrey Bernstein, one of the few people who showed genuine leadership in helping to bridge the divide at the time, which seemed to be an intractable situation. I recently met with Dan Spencer to discuss how we can help in the fundraising to bring the new design to fruition. I look forward to doing everything we can do to do so. We recommend the Commission and the City Council approve the design and the funds requested by the task force as presented without change or without stipulations. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Danny Copelson, and I'd like to second everything that he said. I'm really, really happy that you guys stuck to it because I might have ran. So thank you so much. The one thing I wanted to address, Gary, is there a way to create some language around what the difference between art and a memorial is? And then they could be treated a little bit differently. I don't care if you put some art in the park that I don't really like. I'm not offended. I don't care. I'm not going to protest it. But when it's a memorial and it's something kind of representing something different, something very emotional to different people, I think the evaluation process should be a little bit more than what it is. And there should be at least some kind of a minimum input from the public and an effort made from the people creating it to reach where we did reach. I mean, it was those discussions that got us here. And that didn't happen. And had there been a process, it might have happened before there was some of the trouble. So I'm asking you if there's any possible way to change some language and treat a memorial different than you might a public piece of art.
We actually had a conversation about that on Friday, because we're in the process of redoing the ordinances for the Arts Commission that have not been redone for 25 years. And we feel that we need to address the difference between a memorial and a monument and public art.
Okay.
So no matter what people call it, it still has that same effect of engaging people and their lives. So we need to delineate that. And there will be a different review process, a different funding process, and a different procurement process for it. So it may take a while. It's not going to be tomorrow.
That's great.
But it's on the agenda.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other public comments from the audience? Okay, I'm going to ask folks participating on Zoom if they want to make a public comment to raise their hand. Mr. Colvis, did you want to speak during public comment?
No, thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else online wish to make a public comment? Okay, Mr. Chair, that's it for public comment.
Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes of August 8th, 2024. Are there any changes? No. Someone like to make a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I motion that we accept the minutes of August 8th, 2024.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item for discussion and approval, review and approve the proposed Palm Springs AIDS Memorial design. Consider request of $65,000 for public funds for the site work and installation of the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial. Recommend the Palm Springs City Council approve the proposed Palm Springs AIDS Memorial design and allocation of public art funds for site work and installation. Okay, I'm going to ask for the presentation, and what I'm actually going to do is we're going to do two separate votes on this one. One will be approving the design, and then another one will be for the funding. But let's move forward with the presentation. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start off. I'm Dan Spencer, the founder of the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial Task Force. I want to thank those from the community that are here and that spoke during public comments, and the Arts Commission for hanging in there with us during this process of community input and review. Philip's getting things together over there. With us today from the task force are Arturo Fernandez, Dana Manciagli, thank you, Mike Ritchie, Jeff Juraski, Stuart Kent and Carol Ketchum are out of town. Part of our community team is Bob Bogart and Paul Flowers, and then, of course, artist Philip K. Smith III. I would like to provide a bit of a background since you've been involved as a commission over the years. But before that, on December 1st, 2012, it's a long time ago, I spoke about memory and memorials and my work on the design of the 1979 Key West AIDS Memorial during a World AIDS Day, Day Without Art presentation. At the end of the talk, I said, Palm Springs needs a memorial. The initial task force started meeting in 2013 and studied various locations around the city, meeting with city staff, public works, and Agua Caliente tribe. By 2015, City Council voted to proceed with the downtown park, and the task force shifted its focus to a monumental sculpture with interactive QR code to be placed in the park. From 2017 to October 2019, we waited for the park to be constructed, and construction began in 2019. In 2020, the task force met with the mayor and other city council members to present the concept of the AIDS Memorial sculpture in the new downtown park. And the task force met with community partners to present our concept and gather support letters. Our official first meeting with the Arts Commission was December 2020. In January 2021, I called Philip, and he offered to create the AIDS Memorial pro bono. In June 2021, The Arts Commission recommended to the City Council to accept the A's Memorial as a gift and recommended it be placed in the downtown park. In September of 2021, City Council unanimously approved acceptance of the sculpture for the park, and the park officially opened in October 2021. That month, we'd received our initial donation. Since then, in 2022 and 2023, in 2022, the Arts Commission then recommended allocation of $65,000 from the Public Arts Fund for installation costs of the memorial, and the City Council confirmed that with their support. In 2023, our fundraising efforts continued with over 400 individual donations received as of October 1st, 2023. As you know, last fall, we hit a bump in the road, and we returned to the Arts Commission to let you know we were going to engage the community and redesign the memorial. So today, October 2024, we are back with a new and improved A's Memorial gift to the city and the community. It is our hope that following your acceptance and approval, that the City Council in November and that of the City Council in November, we can continue our fundraising with a goal of celebrating late in 2025 or early 2026. We thank you for your support over all these years. And Philip, take it away.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Philip K. Smith III. Thank you, Jay. As you can see, we have a model here. Sometimes it helps to be able to see something three-dimensionally. Please, if you want to, get up, walk around the model so you can see it. I just wanted to talk about process. As an artist that has done probably over a dozen large-scale public art sculptures across the country, every project has its own process, its own ups and downs. I would say that every project is unique. There's never consistency. And this project has certainly been an example of one of those. I think that ultimately I'm a believer in process. I have to. All of the struggles that we went through a year ago were a requirement to get to where we are today. And we had been operating as a task force and myself in a particular way that was a bit behind closed doors. It was one way of doing a project. That came to an end. And we flipped it entirely 180 degrees, and it became an entirely public process through the listening sessions in the town hall. And we got to a place that I can tell you, as the person working on this, I never could have gotten to this place if that hadn't have happened. The intensity of the discussions, the beauty of the discussions, and the emotions in those discussions within the listening sessions were profound. And I feel really armed me in an entirely new way about how to approach this project. So a lot of you are here tonight that were contributors to that, and I thank you for that. I thank the community for that, because this new design never would have happened without you sharing so openly with all of us. So I'm going to go through the presentation and talk about the project and talk about concepts, talk about logistics, materials, and then you can hit me with the questions. Okay? I'm going to skip ahead just to see where we're at. So through everything, we have distilled this memorial down to three messages: forever remembered, forever loved, forever celebrated. That's the messaging. I'm going to start by talking a bit about logistics and the space of the park, the space of the sculpture, and where it's located. It's located in the downtown park. One of the big concerns that came out during the listening sessions was, can there be more of a space of the memorial or space around the memorial? Could there be seating? I didn't think that any of that was possible. But as soon as the sculpture or the memorial shifted from a sculpture to a memorial and shifted from a 9-foot diameter piece to something that was 11 feet tall and much more vertical, we were able to accommodate a lot more room and space around this. The seating was possible. So each of the three oval forms that you're seeing there is related directly to our messaging of the three phrases. You can see the seating, you can see the title. People were really adamant that they know exactly what they're seeing. I will say when we got this approved, the memorial sculpture, we have dropped the word sculpture. It was very confusing. It was confusing in concept too. Right? We've talked tonight about the challenges of how do you assess this? How do you talk about it? Sculpture versus memorial. This is a memorial. And so the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial is written there at both of the thresholds, to the north and the south. Just to position yourself directly to the left here in this image is the event green. Directly above is the terracing up to the parking garage. Okay? That is a 20-foot diameter circle. And I said the piece is 11 feet high. There's plenty of room for wheelchair access, actually beyond, way beyond the minimum. It wanted to create a sense of intimacy, but also a space that was open enough that a couple people can walk by easily. It's not tight, it's open, it's fluid, but it still has a sense of defining a space, which is why we have the benches in that title and defining the space of the memorial itself. The trees that you're seeing on each side, that planter is existing. And there are currently 2 mesquite trees planted. And so that sense of space will continue to evolve as those mesquite trees grow up and around the memorial itself. So each of these faces has a message, and I'm going to talk about that right now. The new Palm Springs AIDS Memorial is a well of love in the desert. It is a gathering place for love in much the same way that Palm Springs was a gathering place for those with HIV/AIDS early in the pandemic. People came to Palm Springs because they knew that they would be cared for and supported, which is to say they knew that they would be loved here. Love can be expressed through a tear in both sorrow and joy, a tear shed for the loss of a loved one and a tear shed for the joyful memory of a loved one. And so the Well of Love, our memorial, shares 3 simple messages: forever remembered, forever loved, and forever celebrated. Each vertical face holds an oval pool of tears, unique to its message. Forever remembered has a single drop sending ripples outward, representing the memory of each unique individual taken from us. Forever loved has multiple drops, all merging together and representing the community of caregivers, including loved ones, friends, family, medical staff, organizations, local businesses, and so many more. Forever Celebrated presents only the ripple effects from many, many drops coming together to create a rippled surface that represents the lasting effect of the lives we celebrate through this memorial. They have forever affected our lives, our memories, and our community. The Well of Love is a well that provides an emotional life source. It is a well where tears are deposited and tears are withdrawn, both in happiness and in grief. It is a touchstone in our community to never forget the lives of those lost to HIV/AIDS and to celebrate the ever-present, extensive, loving community of support that is unique to Palm Springs. So again, to position ourselves in the park, behind us is the parking garage. To the left is the Palm Springs Art Museum and the event green. Something that I want to talk a bit about is that there you can see these circles that are on the benches at each of the thresholds. It's been very important for us to ensure that this memorial would be timeless. Part of the challenge of memorials is that you have a tendency to run out of space for names, and it becomes a challenge for it to be current. So what we wanted to do was to be precise in our messaging for the text that's shared at the memorial itself, but then an online experience that can be a more robust experience through shared stories, through messaging that I'm sharing tonight that is allowing you to understand what it is that you're looking at. Those can happen online. So we don't have placards and things and stuff. This can end up being a very pure, clean experience in the physical realm. with an online experience that's able to be updated and edited and changed through time, which you can't do when you're carving names into stone. An important aspect of this memorial is the use of glass and a reflective surface. Each of these ovals, each of these wells, these pools of tears, are created through a 1.5 to 2 inch thick cast glass that is laminated to a mirrored surface at the backside of that. The result is you see yourself within the memorial itself. It means that the surrounding environment, the beauty of the landscape of the park, and yourself is collaged across each of those ripples. And you see your own experience, your own memories contributing to this pool of sorrow and this pool of joy. This is the QR code that is a bronze plaque that's attached to this precast concrete bench that can be scanned. What we wanted to do in an effort to share this project publicly and to have your first experience with the QR code in this project, we did something that I've never done and probably have never seen done for any project ever, which is we shared this everywhere. Anybody that had access to that link of the QR code can see everything that you are seeing tonight. So this has been shared online through social media. We placed a full-page ad in the Desert Sun. There's been several thousand postcards dropped off at I don't know how many businesses, all up and down Palm Canyon and Arenas and beyond. We have fully embraced the reality of this being a public project, and we wanted people's comments. And so there was an opportunity, if you didn't see it at the end, to be able to make a comment. It would go directly to our email. We were able to compile those, and I think, like Raymond said, it was essentially about 90% thumbs up. We love this, which was really encouraging. I'll say, having done, as I said, about 12 or so big projects, that's a rarity. You can never please everybody. I really appreciated everything you said at the beginning, Gary. You're absolutely right. That's the beauty and the challenge of bringing any kind of creative element into the public world. You're going to get pluses and negatives, and that's the whole point, to have a discussion. But my hope is that with this project, that no matter how you feel about the physical element, you can be 100% a believer in what this is about. So to talk a little bit about some of the dimensions, we really wanted this to be both impressive in scale, but also distinctly human in scale. Talk from the beginning about this being touchable, and it's the beauty of public art. There is no guard to tell you you can't touch it, right? So as you're running your hand across those faces, it's three-dimensional. You're going to feel the ripples across that surface. You'll also note in that middle elevation, each face is tilted out. You're tilted down at 7 degrees. So there's this sense of approach that the memorial is actually leaning towards you and creating a sense of this kind of intimate space between you and the memorial itself. When you're standing in front of Forever Remembered, you can't see the other two faces. So there's a kind of singular focus that happens in that moment. Right now, the material is, I'm going to say, loosely stone. I realize that can mean a lot of things. I've only worked on one stone project that is currently in process. I did that so that I could learn more before I got into this one. And so I have learned a lot about stone, and we have talked to a lot of different fabricators and a lot of different suppliers. And what I can tell you is that we're looking at both different marbles and also different limestones. We want something that isn't graphically strong, like a lot of veining. We want something, though, that is distinctly stone. When you see it, you know that it is stone. And when you run your hand across it, you know that it's stone. So I think a lot of that has to do with the finish of it, but I think the coloration of it, right? We want it to merge with this park. Rios has done an amazing job designing this amazing park. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful parks I've been able to see, and I'm so impressed that it's happened here in the Coachella Valley. So I want to be conscious that we're adding something to an existing design. I've talked with Rios about this design. Nate Cormier from Rios is the one that actually proposed this location originally. and he showed it to us personally out at the site. So, I want to be conscious that the colorations, the quality of the materials, and the feel of it is merging with the beauty that is already there. So just to go through a few of the images, give you a sense of walking around each face. I will say, because it's come up in every single presentation, no, there is not a pit at the top, and I forgot to bring the cap. At the very top of the piece, where the pieces curve in, the stone will be made such that no piece of trash or leaves or anything can sit in the top and stay up there. If it rains, the water will spill down the side. So I just want to be clear about that. But you can see the quality of reflection. There's going to be a gloss surface associated with this glass, which is absolutely achievable. And then that mirrored surface is happening at the back side of that 1.5-inch thick glass. And cast glass has imperfections in it. It has bubbles and stuff and things. And all of that will be part of the beauty of this reflection. I really want to embrace the realities of the materials themselves. In the evening, we have 3 uplights that are placed in front of each of the 3 faces. So there's raking light running up those edges to catch all of those rippled forms. And that's my presentation for you.
I have some questions, as I know you knew I would.
Bring it.
As I've always said, the Arts Commission has 2 roles. One is accepting art into the collection and then the maintenance of it.
Yes.
So my concern, as soon as I saw this, is what's the cost to maintain this and repair it? I don't see a plan for repair, and I want to know what's going to be done to protect this from either simple graffiti or some idiot running their bike into the glass.
Yeah.
Or stones, how impenetrable is the glass? And what you, as the creator, is the estimated cost of maintenance for this on an annual basis and then major repair?
Sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the original design. Was a singular piece of stone, literally a single milled piece of stone. If someone had taken a hammer up to it and chipped it away, the whole thing needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
Meaning the entire budget is dedicated towards remaking it. Part of the thought on this was to begin to break this apart into the elements. The beauty of the 3 messages is it allows us to say each of those 3 stone volumes are separate. They're bolted to a center steel column. So if any of that stone breaks or chips off or whatever it is, if somebody gets after it, we just need to replace that singular piece. It's the same thing with the glass. I'm going to say that the glass, I thought, was going to be the singular most expensive part of this project. I was wholly wrong and very surprised. We hope to work with a company called Bullseye Glass that's in upstate New York. It has incredible experience. We had interviews with about 5 different glass fabricators. Bullseye was the one that understood everything about this project, said yes, 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 and said we could do everything that we wanted to do, which I didn't expect. I'll say that it's about $35,000 for a singular piece of glass. So, I think that this question always comes up, whether there's glass or steel or whatever, right? There's some kind of moment when you have to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to make it Corten steel rust and be a solid block. I want it to be beautiful, and I want it to be powerful. The singular most important things that help to ensure the longevity of a work is the placement and also community support. So I think the advantages were there's a window from the police substation looking at where we're at. And I think the other thing is that it's in a space where it's lit 24/7. There's people there. It's not some park that you have to drive to that no one's going to be there. So that has certain advantages in and of itself.
You know, I agree that the more community involvement you have, the more ownership they feel. So I
Yeah.
think that's good. But we are going to need a budget before it can be fully presented to council, just for overall repair.
No problem. I guess my question on that would be, how do you want me to break that down? Like, how much is a bench? How much is the glass? How much is the stone? Or, because then there's the catastrophic damage, right? Which for any sculpture is not going to be cheap. Then it's fine, it needs annual maintenance, which honestly is cleaning the glass and blowing the sand away.
And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk about
No,
it.
no.
It's just that half of our job is maintaining it.
I get it.
And when you look at, in the downtown park, we have a waterfall fountain that maybe worked for a month.
Yeah, no, I know.
And, you know, some of the biggest challenges facing this commission are pieces that it was not properly vetted at
Yes.
installation. We pay $65,000 a year to maintain the fountain in Francis Stevens Park.
Yeah, I
Just
get
because
it.
of the way it was designed and the
Yeah.
artwork there. And we're still dealing with other major, so we just need to ensure that all of our money is accurately planned for.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that the uplighting,
Yeah.
we're talking about anti-graffiti coating on all of this, which is a sacrificial coating. I'm sure you're all highly aware of that. We can't do that on the glass, but the glass is also incredibly resilient to a lot of different things. And because it is a gloss surface, there are a lot of things that can be buffed out if something gets scratched in, whatever it may be.
Now, apart from repair, I had a couple other questions, and one is the placement. When this was originally decided on placement, it was, Maryland was in the middle of the street, and the park was intended to be this very contemplative, peaceful park. The biggest, most popular thing that happens in the park now are the Rock the Park, you know, ABBA-esque and Kiss cover bands and all that. That just floods the park with people. And it's so popular that bandstand is going to be doubled in size.
Yeah.
And Maryland is now moving inside the park. So how will that impact your intended serene feeling of this
Sure.
memorial?
Well, I'll say I had originally proposed that maybe Maryland could go at the end of Andreas, but that wasn't embraced because there needed to be a column down in the parking garage, which I'd probably be happy to pay for personally, but because I thought that was a fantastic location, lots of room. Where she is right now, it's like barely under 100 feet from the location of the memorial. Between her and the memorial are about 15 trees that are all 20 to 25 feet and continuing to grow. So I think it's going to be kind of like where she is right now. I'm not too concerned about it. We haven't been concerned about it even when she was out in the street. It's essentially moving north. It's not moving really closer. The only map I've seen of the location was on the news, which was kind of like somebody took a Bic pen and put an X in the park. I'm surprised that it kind of got pushed in as far as it, because I know that she was supposed to be on the kind of far east end of the park. But however that gets worked out, even where the X is located right now, I don't think it's going to be an issue. That's 100 feet away and over there. And certainly, you know, during a concert, people are not going to be mourning their loved ones coming to this AIDS memorial, right? But concerts aren't happening 24/7 there. And there's a time for everything. That's the beauty and the reality of a public park. So I think that there will be, though, you know, essentially almost every day, people can come to this memorial and have an intimate experience.
Okay. Another question was actually about the benches, because they're a new component.
Yes.
And I ran this design by the city's impact team. They deal with loitering in parks and homeless and things like that. And they had concerns about the fact that people will be sleeping on the benches. There's nothing to prevent them from sleeping there.
Okay. So we have both skate stop, and then they right now are meant to turn, as you can see on the model on the benches there. I think that's an easy design to adjust. And the point is, you can see that there's a seam for each of those. So we can adjust that to align and to make sure that it works. If it's up and down, alternating, whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy adjustment.
You should make that recommend change when it goes to council.
All
as
right,
well,
fair enough.
Because eventually the impact team and the Parks Department will stop it.
Okay,
And I'd
fine.
rather they stop it earlier than once it's installed.
How do we get that approved, Gary? Like, how does that process, is that going into Parks and Rec, or is that,
It'd be the Parks Department and the Police Department.
okay,
So as I said, you just
just having a
indicate,
meeting with them?
no, just indicate how you want it to be when you present to council.
Okay, all right, got it.
Okay. And I can give you a name of somebody to talk to in the impact team if you like.
That'd be,
Okay, great. My last one is the digital component.
yes,
And we've got this coming from other groups as well, wanting to do digital work. Now, the challenge here is this is going on public property.
Yeah.
And you're giving this art piece to the city for our private art collection. But the content, the digital content is privately maintained. And the city's not approving it, and so it's not ours, but it is integral to this piece, which is ours.
yes,
So we will need to get some sort of terms of service agreement with whoever your provider is, who is maintaining the site, and to approve, assuming the city's not maintaining the site, which
correct.
they're not. So there will need to be a separate agreement with them, and the agreements will need to indemnify the city against any liabilities, including release of any personal information or unauthorized content that could cause harm or infringe on privacy rights. Very commonplace.
Yes.
And then we need to ensure that there's no content-related requirements which would focus on preventing harm or false information, privacy violations, all the standard stuff. But that will come separately with the agreement, should council accept this and should the commission approve it.
Fine, we would want all those things too.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
I'm interested in understanding in regards to the QR code and the information. So that needs to go on in perpetuity, not just for 6 months or a
Correct.
year or even 2 years.
Yep.
So how is that contemplated to be funded and to maintain it?
Yeah, so part of our fundraising goal, that's built into our current budget, which has a range of $1 to $1.2 million, because there's a number of factors that could adjust that. But we intend to create an endowment for that. We've talked through the private presentations that I've done of this new design at my studio, a number of different local groups and organizations have been part of those and wanting to be part of this to help maintain it. They see it as an opportunity and something where more of the community can be involved. I think we're talking to a lot of people. I don't want to say anything right now, but to know that we are getting closer and closer to having a more robust organization beyond our volunteer group of the task force to ensure that this goes on in perpetuity. I know I'm answering and not answering, I realize that, but we're hyper aware of your concern because we see it as integral. And in terms of funding, like, let's say that we create all of that content and it evolves over the next 2 years. Maybe there's a moment where that begins to kind of crystallize and it is able to exist as it is for many years. Then it's more about, well, who, it's kind of basic, like who's supporting your website and those basic costs, which are minimal costs, but real costs. So the intent is that an endowment will cover those kinds of costs.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick one, and it may be for Dan. But I'm just curious, I mean, the last time that we were here, it was a very emotional thing. Can you give me a little bit more detail in terms of how many meetings that you held to the public? Or just, I don't need the detail, just a brief overview of like how you reached out to the community and.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think we made it very public that we were doing these listening sessions. We were probably had 15 to 20 people, maybe a little bit more at 5 of those sessions. Those went out to a huge invite list of people all over the community. Bob Bogard from O'Bailey Communications, him and Tim O'Bailey assisted our task force in creating that list of people. But whoever said yes, we found a date and a time for them. Then at the end of that, we held a town hall at the temple, and that was unlimited. This is if you wanted to come to a listening session, couldn't make the date, this is your moment to come. And so that was all over social media, everything online, all kinds of PR went out about that. And people came to that final town hall. We weren't thousands of people showing up, but it was our goal to be able to say, if you wanted to come, this is your moment. And so we opened it up as wide as we could. That help? Okay.
I just have one more question. Is there any room to go back for the 10% of the people that didn't agree with the design to get more of that input in? Because there's still some concerns about the shape.
Sure. I would say let's say that the concern is the shape and we don't like the oval. I don't know how to resolve that and make the 10% happy while also keeping the 90% happy. I'll say for every public art project I've ever done, at the unveiling, there's 10 people that come up to me and say, I hate this, it's horrible, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. And I say, thank you, I'm sorry, but this is what public art is all about, is a discussion. And I think, again, I'm going back to whether you believe in the form or not. Hopefully we can agree that there needs to be an AIDS memorial in Palm Springs. And I think that right now we're still recovering from the rawness of what happened a year ago, right? And I think that as we march forward and this becomes a reality, the conversation shifts and changes. I have to believe in that. I know I can't get 100%. I'm going to tell you right now, it's impossible. Because as soon as I satisfy some of the people that are here that stood up are going to say, Phil, what are you doing? This is not what we talked about. So 90%, I'm shocked. I'm shocked we got 90%. I'm happy with 60 to 70 for most of my projects because that's reality. It's just, when I walk into a museum, I'm an artist. I don't like 90% of the work on the wall.
Yeah, I totally.
You know what I mean?
I get that and I understand that. I'm just worried about it coming back to us with another saying that it looks like a certain instrument of pleasure versus what it looked like before. So that's
I
why
hear you.
I'm concerned
I
about
think
that
again-
pushback of why is Palm Springs
Sure.
disgracing again? This isn't good enough. We have enough of a population here that we should be able to come up with some kind of agreeable design that doesn't implicate.
I will say that thus far, the comments have not said, it looks like XYZ.
Okay.
Not a one.
That's correct.
Yeah, I understand all that. I just know that Palm Springs being an international destination, I just want more. For the people that I lost, this is very hard for all of us. I really would like to see a little bit more passion. I'm still seeing a not as much of a positive that I want to see. I really would like, how do I say, just more of an input from more of the community so we can get more experiences, because I don't think this encompasses the experience that I had with my friends dying of AIDS. So I'm just a little hesitant on making another mistake again, because this is very important. This is extremely important for our community, for our mental health, our well-being, that we have someplace that we can pay tribute. And I feel that Palm Springs, we're almost there, and I just want more. I know that you said that there weren't rooms for names. Is there a part of the QR code that could have it? Is there something else that we can have, this reflective surface have names going across it as some way? I mean, I just want more people when they come, that they get more of an experience and they're able to really honor the person that they lost. Because right now, I can't see myself going here to honor my friends.
I understand. I'm sorry you feel that way. I think that all I can tell you is that when we had 5 presentations to the public in my studio before we came here to ensure that we weren't going through a problematic stage again. And it was like universal positivity with people weeping in the room. People that were on KASQ TV a year before saying, what the hell is this? That same person weeping saying, you did it. So I'm sorry you feel the way you do, and I think that I realize we're here asking for approval. A model can't share it, a rendering can't share it. Standing in front of that 11-foot tall piece, which we had at the presentation at the studio, is incredibly powerful. So thank you for your comments, but
I just have one more thing that goes back to the maintenance for the city. So I know that you're looking between marble and granite, and there's quite a bit of difference in the hardness of the two stones.
Absolutely.
And it seems from an ongoing maintenance perspective and also from a damage perspective, the ability to damage it, the choice would be more to move towards granite versus marble, given the hardness of the stones.
it's all a question of what kind of marble. I am in 100% agreement. It is also the reality of costs. Milling granite is about twice as expensive. And so that's where right now we're showing this range of $1 million to 1.2, because a lot of it is contingent on the stone, the hardness of the stone, and how difficult or easy it is to mill. We want to find something that's in between. I think I appreciate the hardness of the granite. I don't love what it looks like in reality. So I think that we can find the right density and hardness of stone to be able to hold up in our desert environment and still maintain the aesthetic beauty that we're seeking.
2 final questions, and then I think we can vote on this. How many people have individually donated to this?
Where are we at? 400 plus?
We're over 400.
Okay, that's nearly 500. Okay.
Yes.
And what percentage of your budget are you in the process? Because I know this, we're basically doubled in cost.
Correct. So the original budget we had was $600,000.
Yeah.
And the budget we're saying right now is 1 to 1.2 million. You know, I'm just going to say our goal is 1.2 million, right? For a lot of the reasons that we've discussed tonight, for the endowment, for the online experience, et cetera. So we have doubled that. The current funds, I think, is around $540,000. So we're just under half. We're, you know, with this being released to the public just a couple weeks ago, continue to work with our fundraiser, Paul Clowers, who's gotten us to where we are right now, almost all the way, given the original design. We've had a lot of people come forward excited about the design, ready to up an existing donation or to offer more. And I think also because this is more of a public process and the word is out there, and we're not doing this at private parties behind closed doors, it's a very different attitude about fundraising as well.
And you said you anticipate installation in December 1st, 2025 or 2026?
25. This is contingent on fundraising and certainly approvals tonight and with City Council. But our hope is that if we reach approval tonight, that we go to City Council in November, I think it's November 14th. And then we're in a fundraising blitz, and that hopefully early in 2025, we can press go on working with all the various fabricators.
Okay. So as I said at the beginning, I'd like to split this vote so we can either approve, oh. I want to split this vote, so we either approve or deny recommending it to council, and then we can discuss about the financing afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion that the Art Commission approve this installation in the downtown park with two caveats, three caveats. One, they need to address the component to prevent people from sleeping on the benches. Two, we need a full maintenance plan eventually. And then three, knowing that the QR code will be privately held and there will be a terms of service agreement with that separate provider and that the city is not responsible for that.
Not a problem.
Would someone like to make a second?
I'll second with Gary's three conditions.
Great. Jay, could you take a vote on this?
Commissioner Gonzalez? Commissioner Landy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kibbe? Commissioner Silvera? Commissioner Favreau?
No.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Chair Armstrong?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you all.
Great. Now I would like to discuss the funding. I actually would recommend we put off the funding until we get a sense of what the maintenance will be, because we had the situation with another major installation, and we have a finite budget every year. The budget doesn't change based on how many pieces we get into it. And until we know how much this is going to entail with the maintenance of this, I don't know how much of our budget we can allocate on an annual basis.
Okay. No pressure, but the $540,000 that I mentioned to you included
So,
the $65,000 that had been approved the first time around.
and again, to clarify, which I did let your team know, that when we approve funding, it's for a specific piece of art, and that piece of art is
Understand.
gone. So
Sure.
it doesn't just slide over.
Totally get it. The other no pressure comment I'm going to say is that at every single listening session and every presentation, every person said, so the city is going to help pay for this, right?
Doesn't mean that we won't.
I understand. I'm
We
just
don't know
putting,
what our-
I'm putting
Yeah.
just a healthy guilt trip on you.
That's okay.
To help
You
assist
know what? I'm
in your
Canadian, I can
voting
take
pleasure.
it.
Okay.
You know, generally, our feeling is that our contribution financially is the ongoing maintenance of it.
I understand.
And as I said, the bigger the piece, the more it costs us. And as
I get
said,
it.
our budget doesn't change annually. I'm willing to listen to other people if they would like to vote to approve, but I would recommend putting it off.
So Gary, might I ask, by suggesting that we push it off, you're holding open the possibility that a case could be made that the number needs to be higher than 65?
No, I just want to know how much we're going to have to pay on an annual basis regardless.
Well, I feel like that is a reality,
So, yeah.
but
I kind of feel like we should approve this because this is just the approval for installation, which has nothing to do with its annual maintenance. And I would think it's a little bit hard to estimate an annual maintenance when we don't even know the type of material, the final materials, whether it's stone, marble, whatever it happens to be. that's going to have an effect on the actual cost of maintenance, correct?
I don't see the stone choice affecting that number at all.
Okay.
So but the 65 was the maintenance of the previous piece. It's not the maintenance cost for this piece.
No, that was for the
more.
installation.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
installation
which
is more.
It was installation and site work,
Yeah.
which included the footing, the logistics underground and all of that. For this project, which is double, it is appropriately at $100,000.
Which I understand.
Yeah,
Again, our budget does not change year to year.
every bit counts towards this project, so.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
But this is much more maintenance cost, though.
I'd like to actually talk about a little bit about the maintenance costs, because I know you asked for a budget, but it seems to me that it's a very straightforward thing about keeping it clean, washing it. I think when you were talking, and so I wanted to make this distinction, damage is not ongoing maintenance. Damage is a one-time or possibly a no-time or maybe a multiple time of experience, right? Somebody graffitis or whatever, but the ongoing simple maintenance of the piece, to me, doesn't seem that complicated. It has no moving parts.
It's a hose and a brush. I mean,
So I think understanding that, what we're expecting from them to come back with is important, like,
Except for the fact that this piece also includes the surrounding area, the lighting.
there's just three uplights. I mean, I would say, I would figure out what the cost of a bulb and changing the bulb is.
Yeah.
And honestly, this has been designed such that it is about dusting. I mean, the wind will take care of a lot, and so will rain when it rains. So I think it's about sweeping and cleanliness. I appreciate your comment, because I think that all of the other things is about, damage, not ongoing maintenance.
Eric, can I also, just to clarify, I mean, if we look at our agenda item, there's nothing about it, about maintenance in here. This is about approving design consideration and installation. So,
Right. My point is, they're asking for 65 as a contribution to the installation, but we don't know what our maintenance is going to be.
right, but that's a different topic.
Well, again, it comes out of the same budget. So we're allocating money. We don't have a maintenance budget separate from an allocation budget. So if we give 65 for this, we don't know what we're going to be doing on an annual basis.
Right.
That's the point. It's like, we just
Sure,
have one fund.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I think, like, if I'm going to figure that out, I would want to work with you, because it's ultimately, I don't want to be flippant, but it is like hourly rate of a city worker to come down and sweep and to clean the glass.
But
I-
city
and
workers
a
don't
change-
maintain our artwork, though. That's the
What's
point.
that?
They don't maintain our artwork.
Whoever it is. That's my logic. I don't see this as not a $30,000 a year cleanliness project. It seems to me very straightforward, which is really the intent.
Again, maybe I'm just stuck with the Rainmaker and Francis Stevens that.
No water,
shockingly
no moving
costs-
parts. No
It's
water,
not
no
because of the
moving
water.
parts.
It's-
Oh, yeah, water,
Yeah.
I never have water in art in the desert. It'll turn white and it'll stop working week one.
Carlos, any comments?
Commissioner, would you please turn on the microphone?
Couldn't you hear me? I have a very powerful voice. Okay.
I heard you.
Do I have to repeat it? Okay.
So let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
If we approve the 65,000, you're not coming back for more money?
I think we'd be, well, I mean, what are we talking about? No, I think that is fantastic
No,
and very
is
generous.
that your statement? You won't be coming back for more money?
We will not be coming back for more money.
Okay.
Now, if a city council member decides to give more, and I didn't bring it up, I don't know what to say to that.
Okay. Okay. We can't take questions from the audience. Sorry, public comment was over. Okay, so Would someone like to make a motion to approve the $65,000?
But may I say something before?
Okay.
I think there's a broader discussion about, philosophically, about approving installation dollars for gifts to the city that we haven't taken on as a mission,
Yeah.
which is because we need to, I think part of our discussion or decision-making should be around the fact that if we decide to do that and we have other gifts coming to the city, it sets a precedent. And without saying whether I'm for or against it, I think that that is a much broader discussion that could put this commission and our budget into a difficult place going forward for other pieces and other programs that we have online or coming online.
This is probably where that discussion about a memorial versus a sculpture would really be helpful. Because I would argue that I totally agree with you, because you have to be budget conscious. As a much more kind of public, highly Palm Springs relevant memorial, I think it requires a kind of different attitude. But that's me on this side of the aisle.
So I asked the commission again, do you want to vote on this or do you want to think about it? Because we are setting precedent and we will be asked by others to donate to gifts that they make.
How long would it take us to decide on that issue?
We have a meeting November 1st. Or first week of November.
7th.
7th,
That would be before our city council date.
correct.
I would want to wait.
I think it deserves a discussion, to be very honest. I think because I understand the difference between a memorial and a
Yeah.
piece of art, but because of some of the projects that are in front
I
of
get
us
it.
as a commission,
Yeah.
which are also gifts, which are also memorials, I think we need to have a more robust discussion about it.
Of the two votes tonight, I'm most excited about the first.
Okay, if it opens up a complete different precedent, I mean, so I think we should discuss it before too.
Tom?
I have raised that issue in the past, so I agree that we should classify things as memorials versus sculptures. So if it's only going to take us a week to have that discussion, let's do it and get it done and then vote.
Shonda? Wait. Yeah, okay. Wait, okay. We will wait to determine
Fine,
the financial amount and if we make a financial donation.
not a problem. I appreciate you talking it out. Thanks for considering it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioners, just so you know, the agenda for the November 14th city council meeting will be posted by November 7th.
Okay. We can figure this out.
Okay,
We've done more with less.
fair enough. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next agenda item.
Mr. Chair, was that a vote?
We just tabled it.
Motion is tabled?
Yeah, motion to
Thank you.
table.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next agenda item, consider and approve the allocation of $50,000 for Gateway Park and $50,000 for Baristo Park as part of the Artscape in the Parks program. I'd like to give a very quick update. I've been meeting with every community group. Carlos joined me yesterday. Victoria Park loved their dog. The Baristo Park team, you heard what they liked. They unanimously liked it. We're making slight minor design modifications to it so that the openings are going vertically rather than horizontally. They were afraid people would try and climb it. If you remember, it was the body with the parts and the opening. And they were concerned about animals getting inside, but the artist said that, no, they're a quarter of an inch. There's no way an animal, maybe a spider. And half the people at Victoria Park were disappointed that the dog was not going to be 50 feet tall. It was only going to be 15 feet tall, but they understand that. And then met with the people at, did a Zoom last night for the Gateway Park. And the majority of the people were very happy with the design. There, if you recall, Janice from Gateway Park, who came and presented her concepts to us, she questioned why that hadn't been approved, and there was a lot of discussion on that. And just like that, they leave. I'll just turn this way now. And so there's a lot of discussion on that. But the majority of the people liked the dancer that they had there. And then at Desert Highland, they didn't quite understand Guardian and how we explained that the artist would work with them to create the symbols and the visuals, and they didn't quite get that. They liked their runner-up, which was Family Prances. It was one that sort of looked like a big Matisse one. Communicated with that artist last night, and he's not sure he can deliver by the schedule. So we're in discussion with him about that. Jay's going to follow up with him on that. I did want to address something that was brought up to me by an artist who has been involved with us, and her name is Ann Faith Nichols, and she sent me a note afterwards, and it turns out she lives in El Rancho Vista Estates. Ann Faith Nichols submitted 2 designs to us. It was the metal pieces, the blue moon that was sort of the big sharp blue moon in 3 pieces together, and then the other one that was a lot of interlocking pieces that you said looked like the Set Twin Opera, and they were not chosen.
They look like Calders to me. I did like them a lot.
Okay. They were not chosen because we were concerned about the sharp edges of the moon being in parks, and we suggested maybe they could be in front of the airport at some time. Anyway, she sent a note, and she said, regarding the meeting tonight with El Rancho Vista Estates and the art selections for Gateway Park, are you aware of the commission that myself and Jacob Arden, we both submitted designs for the project, have lived and owned a home in El Rancho Vista Estates for 10 years. Our neighbor has been trying to get public art for a decade, and we'd love to see local art contribution here. And I explained that we love local art as well as a commission. We do as much local outreach as we can, but we have to look at the quality of the artwork first and what we liked first. We're not going to put somebody in there strictly because they're a Palm Springs resident. And then she pointed out that on the application page on the city website, but not on the application, it said, as part of the selection criteria, the number 1 point was artistic excellence and creative merit as evident by submitted materials. And then there was community value added, experience with art, and then a footprint or active history in Greater Palm Springs, and it said preferred. And I explained that, yes, it is preferred, but the number 1 thing is the quality of the artwork. And I explained the process we went through to achieve it in each one, and every one was discussed. And she then pointed out that there were no women artists that we selected. I then went through all of the selections, the 41, and there were 7 female artists that submitted. And out of all the selections, there were 3 from Palm Springs. And if you include Greater Palm Springs, including the high desert, there was only 6 that submitted. Of the 3 that submitted, she was one, her husband was the other one. Then there was Marcos who submitted. I will state that of the 6 people who were considered within the Greater Palm Springs area, 4 of them were in Pillars, and the other Marcos we have as a piece right now. So every one of the artists who is from the Palm Springs area who submitted is represented in our collection already. But my question isn't necessarily with this, because I think we did a thorough job reviewing everyone. Something I'd like to address and think about is what we can do about getting more women to submit and more community outreach. Because we are funded by tax dollars, we cannot only target women. We can't say this is for women only. We can't say this is for non-white people only or gay people only. We can't do anything like that. It has to be open to everybody. But what we can do is outreach to encourage certain people to apply for different awards that we are doing and commissions that we're doing. So I don't want to necessarily discuss this now. I just told Ann I'd mention it in her comments. And as I said, I want us to think about what we can do for more community outreach and on traditional people who participate. May I make one? Sure, turn your mic on so I can hear you.
I do think that, and I've only been here for 3 meetings, so, please have that in the background when I say this, but because art is so personal, and what people like or don't like is so personal. It does seem to me that we should have a rating sheet when we evaluate each piece of art, and on there should be, is it a woman or not? Is it a local community? And there's a point system. Because, for example, you just mentioned that the moon, it was too sharp or whatever. So there's an issue around safety, maintenance, like there's a whole evaluatory set of questions that could be asked about a piece that helps in making a decision rather than, I kind of like this piece and you have a discussion about it, but it's really, it gets to the top of the pile because the majority of people like it, rather than you use a more, I guess, a more level playing field in trying to dwindle down 40 submissions to 10 or whatever the number is.
We cannot do that legally.
Why is that?
We can't rate if somebody is a woman or not, if they're non-white or not, if they're gay or not. We can't do that in terms of.
Give it as a point system.
No, we can't even make that as a determinant when we make a decision. In fact, when Pillars went through procurement, I asked them how many Hispanic people applied, and they said, we can't even track that. So, and
Is that because of the
Jay, can you answer? I mean, it's been that way for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think typically those are used as considerations in a tiebreaker situation, but for criteria like that to be the rating criteria is typically not used.
typically not used is different than we are legally not allowed to do so. So there's a distinction there that I would like to understand. If there's really a law that says you may not use this as criteria, that would be good to know.
I think under senators, almost like affirmative action. If two people are equally, if we are between those two people at the end, let's say, and one is a woman, then I think, and we don't have that many women that were selected, then I think it's perfectly all right. That's how affirmative action worked.
And even if you can't use race, sexual orientation, gender, it seems to me that even to start the evaluation, it would be better to be able to have a point system where you're evaluating on all these different things that are important to us as a commission, more than tell me your 5 favorite of the 40 kind of thing. Not that that's...
Every one of our evaluation needs to be public. So then we can't have an evaluation system of, is that a woman or not a woman or anything like that. So, and as I said, I don't want to get distracted from what we're voting on. I will also say that there was the recent ruling of the VC fund that was giving money to Black women entrepreneurs, and they had to shut down because it was discriminatory against white men.
I'm in the funding business. I can tell you that there are all kinds of funds that are say, we only, so I don't understand that, but.
But I think it's wrong, but I'm just going by what finance and procurement has told us with what we can't and can't ask, and we cannot even use as a decision when we're choosing art.
Okay, I'm a little confused on that because we have, and I don't know if we did that before and it wasn't a lot. I'm a little confused because in the past, we were able to create an online system where it was open to the community to vote on art. Was that something that was not done? Because there's a precedent for that the commission has done that before.
We were told all deliberations need to be made public.
Well, it was a public,
It happened in public. Meaning,
right, it was said in public, it was saying, hey, you can go to this website and vote for the art that you want. And out of those voting of the art that you want, it was open for the city-wide. And they were able to vote on the kind of art that they wanted, and then that art was then allocated to the locations. So, I mean, that's what.
So
I'm a little confused on what's being spoken about here.
What you're adding is the elements of that art, whereas what I'm hearing you're saying is that online, you're looking at art and you're voting on it. You're not voting on a person, you're voting on the art.
The art, right.
Yeah,
So
so this
the-
is, the concern is
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
women
for
or
that, because I wasn't
non-white
getting that.
or anything, we cannot use that as a determinant. But what we can do is we can open the pool more. So as I said, we got 7 women who applied out of 40. So we need efforts to encourage more women to apply and alert more women that there's opportunities here. We cannot say, this is the woman award, and this is the man award, and this is the white person award, and this is the straight award.
But we can celebrate what we already have precedents for. March 1st is Women's Month. We can launch something before then.
And we cannot
February is
decide-
Black
we cannot
History
legally
Month.
say
We
a
can
woman
just
has to
say,
win
hey, everybody come, it's Black History Month.
Okay.
Whether your pigment is whatever it is, you're invited to celebrate. So I'm not understanding how we're not able to bring in the public's opinion. Like, I'm not,
You're mixing the issues here. It's not the public's opinion. We are a commission, and the commission is ruled by the Brown Act. So we can't use tax money, which is essentially what we're funded by, towards something based on somebody's sex or race or gender or anything. So, and as I said, we can talk about this at the next commission meeting. I just wanted to put it out there of the concern. We need to get more women artists, and we need to do more to encourage local artists to participate.
I would agree with efforts to expand the pool and enlarge the pool, and perhaps also key off of particular times, like say, during the month of Women's History Month, we're going to be focusing on an art piece here, and we hope that everyone is encouraged to participate in this call for artists. But I don't understand how I can separate the biography of an artist from my deliberation if an artist's bio is part of the submission. And I would say, oh, I've noticed this person is local and speaks to me when they talk about the genesis of their art. They speak to me in terms of these progressive values that I hold. Without me saying that I'm making my decision in favor or opposed to this art, because this person represents certain things, my awareness of their personal biography could affect my.
And that's allowed. Again, that's not what we're discussing though, because it's, do we, out of 4 commissions, do we have to ensure one goes to a woman? We can't. That's the point. So what we need to do is open and encourage more women to participate so they have more opportunity, but we can't do it. Anyway, I want to go back to the vote here. So we can have this discussion later. It's an important discussion, but as I said, there's 3 or 4 different things ping-ponging around here. Okay, so.
Eric, can we just get clarification on what we're voting on? Because, so these 2 parks, they were presented artwork.
Yep.
Have they selected pieces, or are those 2 pieces going to city council and all we're voting is to approve?
We already selected the artwork.
Right,
We did not have the funds attached to the artwork.
I got it.
So we're approving the funds to go with the appropriate artwork. It will then go to council.
But the appropriate artwork, from what I remember, we voted on 2 pieces per part.
They each chose the first piece.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So we're actually voting on a piece, I got it.
We've already selected the piece.
Yep, I
It's
hear you.
just voting on the
Make
funding.
sure.
This is a technicality.
Got it.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to consider and approve an allocation of $50,000 for Gateway Park and $50,000 for Barristo Park as part of the Artscape in the Parks program?
So moved.
So you have to make the motion.
I have to make the motion. I would move that 50,000 each be allocated for, to approve the allocation of $50,000 for Gateway Park and an allocation of $50,000 for Barristo Park as part of the Artscape in the Parks program.
Someone would like to make a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shonda?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, excellent. Thank you. I will say, the one thing from all the meetings I had, every community just wanted to know about process. How does this happen? How can I get more art? Tell me how this works. Where do your funding come from? So what I'd like to do maybe in January, February, is do a presentation on public art that we can do at PS1, which is where all the neighborhood groups go. And then we can go to individual park groups if we want. Lastly, Tina volunteered to participate and to shadow me dealing with Dancer, which is Gateway Park. And Carlos is doing Desert Highland. And then we still have, if anybody wants to shadow me, with Victoria Park and then Baristo Park. Just learning, being CC'd on emails and understanding how city approvals happen and dealing with public works, and it's navigating the system. So for the most part, you'll be CC'd and doing site inspections. Okay. Okay. Why don't you do Victoria Park? That's a good one.
I'll do Baristo.
Baristo? Great. Okay. Very good. Next one. Carlos, discuss asphalt art project schedule. You're on. Turn on your mic.
All right, so we just talked yesterday. We had a good meeting to finalize the asphalt art project. And so we are planning to do it November 9th, right? The second week of November, yes.
Yeah.
On a Saturday, and the street will be closed starting Friday night. They have to power wash the street, wait until it dries, and then priming it, which takes quite a while to dry. And it will happen Saturday starting at 9, the event. Everybody's excited about having an event, something that's more community-based, not the guys going there painting and leaving. So we have to, I'll talk to Jay also and Jasmine. I don't know what Jasmine is, but I have to talk to you about Jasmine.
Jasmine is our event coordinator for the city.
Okay.
And she works in
We
the
need,
Parks Department.
Jay, we have more than a month, okay? So people at JOJ Community Center, they would like to have more than chairs, tables, and tents. They would like to sit there a little bit more for the event itself. They'd like to have music. They'd like to see if we could provide speakers and sound. And also some food. I mean, Gary always laughs at it, but in Long Beach, the police is always very nice. They grill hot dogs for us. They go to it's a PR for them. Maybe why can't we start something here in Palm Springs? Why? They are different?
Yeah, I talked to Jasmine.
What did
Have
she say?
Jasmine do that. She has
Okay,
she has
I'll
funds
talk-
for
all right,
events. We
all
don't.
right. Maybe fire people, for the firemen. And then they asked if they could go shirtless. So basically, so we have 1 month that I will be communicating with Cynthia Chacoya to see, primarily to plan the event. And I was going to talk to you to know how I should go to, we have a little bit more than a month, but any food would be nice.
You can't do it. You need to talk to Jasmine.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'll talk to Jasmine.
One other point, Chris Ramirez is not here tonight, but he sent a note to Jay and myself that Bloomberg Philanthropies, which Asphalt Art originally came from, has a new $100,000 asphalt art grant that they are offering out to cities. So each city could get $100,000 to do these. We just need to write the fund request.
No, I think it'll be fun. And also, there will be 4 or 5 teenagers in the community that will be helping the painting process. Okay, they'll be paid, which is really
I'll send you
nice.
the manual.
And
Bloomberg did a manual on it.
the last thing is, there will be one more thing that we planned. Besides the event, the kids that we're going to hire. Well, I'll talk to Jasmine, figure out what else we can do.
Next, Beautiful Shade. We've received around 40 applications for Beautiful Shade. The majority of them are, if you recall, there was for 5,000, 25,000, and 50,000. So we've received around 40. I would say probably 3/4 of them are for the 50,000, maybe 2 for 5,000, and then 1 or 2 for the 25,000. The issue was there was about a week, maybe 10 days, where the email that artists were asking their questions on wasn't being managed and responding to. So some artists didn't get their questions answered. What I would recommend is that we extend the deadline for Beautiful Shade, and Jay will put out a new statement on the Call for Artist sites and encourage people to do all of them, but particularly the 25,000 and the 5,000 as well. But we extend it probably until November 15th. So I guess that's about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then we'll be able to review them when that comes in. I will say that there are some stunning designs, just absolutely stunning designs. Whether they're feasible or not, I have no idea, but there's some really beautiful things ahead. One came from China. Pretty crazy.
Which sites were there?
Okay. So do we have to take a vote on that, Jay?
Yes, we should take a vote
Okay.
on that.
Would someone like to make a motion that we extend the deadline for Beautiful Shade until November 15th, and Jay re-promotes on the Call for Artists sites, encouraging the $5,000 and $25,000 submissions?
Quick question, what are all the sites that it's going out on?
There's 3 main Call for Artists sites. Cafe,
Coda Works.
yeah, they're the
Publicartist.org.
standard ones, and that's where we get most of our traffic from. So,
And is it on the city website as well?
On the city
yeah,
website.
yeah,
And is it on any of our social platforms?
yeah.
Is, I'm not getting the social platforms in order to forward that, so
It's been
there's,
on the Public Arts page on Facebook.
oh, it's on the Facebook, so there's no Instagram presence?
It's hard to post it on Instagram because there's a link to the city site. The application is actually hosted on the city site.
Right, but you could put a link on Instagram for that city site in the bio of the city.
Yeah, it's handled through our communications department. They've been
Yeah.
pretty good about getting
Okay.
the word
So
out.
I think
Talk to
Instagram
Amy-
needs to
Amy or
be a
Ben, I guess.
presence we need to be
Yeah,
on.
yeah, okay.
Because I think we're missing out on a lot of artists. A lot of artists use Instagram, so I think it'd be really important to get it on that platform as well, so we can send it out to other artists.
Want me to make a motion?
Please.
I'll make a motion to extend the deadline to November 15th for the acceptance of proposals for the Beautiful Shade project, and to ask Jay to expand the call for projects in the $5,000 to $25,000 range.
And once this goes up, Jay will send it out to the whole commission, and I encourage you to send this to all of your artist friends, area, and who are women artists. I will say, just very quickly looking at them, I think more women responded to this one. Just glance at it quickly, and it's so. Yeah, yeah. A lot of them are art projects. Yeah, yeah, okay. Project updates.
Do we have a second, please?
Oh, did we not vote?
Second and a vote.
Oh, sorry, second. Would somebody make a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thanks, Jay. Airport mural update.
Yes, we know the artist working on the airport mural has begun. I don't have a current update as to how soon they will be finished, but it should be very, very soon. They commenced the work maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was only anticipated to take 1 week, so it should be done very soon.
I do have some photos that Chris Ramirez sent me. The issue was the artist Logan had planned to paint it in the airport during the day, but it's been too hot. So he's had to be painting it at night.
No.
But I do have some photos if anybody wants to see them. I can show you them. It's just in preparation. So. It's on the walkway, sort of by where on the walkway to the, now it's called the Agua Caliente Terminal. It used to be the regional terminal. And it was the Palm Springs Welcomes You. Next, Richard Wyatt mural. Jay.
So as we know, Mr. White had passed away, and he owned 50% of the Richard Wyatt mural in cooperation with the city, owning 50%. But the next step will be to work with his heirs to find out their plans and desires for refurbishing the mural, which artists should do that, how that should be done. We've had these discussions in the past about having Mr. Wyatt select an artist, and so it will possibly be a similar process with the heirs. Unfortunately, we have not had those conversations with the family. So it's still just sort of a process that has to be initiated.
Contact one member of the family, or I can start the dialogue.
Well, yeah, sure, that would be very helpful. Just
Who you are communicating with?
Shonda?
Oh, Shonda.
I thought you had more information than that. I got the information from you all.
Jake, can you talk to, can the city lawyers contact or try and find out who's managing his estate?
That's a great idea. We can ask them to
I
do
think
that.
that's how to handle it. There has to be somebody, I mean, he's a known artist, he has to have an estate. The lawyer should be able to track that down. And then, again, because he technically owns half of it, his estate is involved with making the decisions on the next steps. I can't imagine they would. There is an outside chance they would turn it over to us or trust our decision, but that's something that we need his estate to let us know. And that is it. We did pretty good considering it was a long presentation. Would someone like to make a motion? Oh, Jay, did you have anything else to report?
No other reports, thank you.
Okay, great. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the Public Arts Commission meeting. We will adjourn to a meeting on November 7th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the large conference room in the city of Palm Springs City Hall. Someone like to second?
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody.